Happy Friday. You are listening to the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. I am your host, Whitney J. It is Friday, November 20th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are tuning in on the Awesome God Radio app, thank you so much. If you have not downloaded the free Awesome God Radio app, listen, you are missing out. Amazing shows, amazing sermons from different ministries, amazing music. You don't, if you're only getting the She Heals Radio Show, you're not getting enough. Download the free Awesome God Radio app. Thank you so much to my Awesome God Radio family for always loving me and supporting me. I love you guys. If you are tuning in on Periscope, Twitter, my YouTube channel, thank you so much. Please subscribe to all of those things, Whitney Huggins. And last but not least, if you are tuning in on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and share it to your page. Listen, you guys, I hope that you are feeling well. It is the Friday before Thanksgiving. We are moving into holiday season. Holiday season is definitely going to look different this year than it has in the past years, but take heart. It's going to be okay, y'all. It's going to be okay. I want to dedicate this show to my Lee family. We lost recently yet another member of our family. And you know something, sometimes, you know, you hit that wall with God where you're just like, you know what, God? I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to say. I love you. I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to trust you. But God, you just keep letting things happen. And I definitely have had that moment with God. I've definitely had that moment where I'm like, God, please help me. That's how I'm feeling right now, if I can be honest. God, please help me. And so I want to share a little bit in this segment, the She Heals Inspiration segment. I pray that it blesses you. We have an amazing, two amazing guests, an amazing married couple and authors, Earl and Barbara King, that are going to join us in the next segment. And it's going to be a blessing. But first, we got to handle some business, y'all. Look at me dropping. So one of the things that has been happening in my world is I feel like I'm in that season of consecutive hits. I'm not talking about consecutive hits like, you know, Beyonce or whoever. I'm talking about just one thing after another, one battle, one trial after another. And sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And so I've been in this space. And when we lost my uncle last week, I had just hit that wall with God. And one of the things that I was like just crying out to him is, God, why? Why are you allowing so much to happen? God, this is one of the heaviest seasons for so many people. People are being sick. People are losing their lives to COVID. People are becoming depressed and anxious. And you know, in this season, or in this year rather, you know, relationships are being torn apart and all kinds of things are coming up. And for some of us, you know, being in quarantine, being in the house is bringing up some old feelings and things that we may have stuffed away that now we can no longer stuff away. And we've got to now be forced to deal with it. And there is just so much. And it's like the enemy is wreaking havoc. And I know sometimes it feels like God is not there. It feels like, you know what, God, where are you in the midst of my storm? God, where are you in the midst of what I'm going through? Lord, show me, you know, what you need me to do, God. Show me the revelation of this season. But God, right now, I feel so disconnected from you. And, you know, I have been battling. You know, I smile, I keep it positive as much as I can, but I've been battling. I've been battling depression. I've been battling anxiety. I've been battling a physical ailment that takes all of my energy away. Earlier this week, or actually throughout this entire week, I've just been sleeping. When I'm not working, when I'm not doing something, I've been sleeping because my body is depleted. All my energy is gone. And I've been crying out to God. And if you've ever been in a place where you just are crying out to God and it seems like he doesn't hear you, it seems like he is not listening, it seems like he's so far away. I get it. I get it. It's hard to trust God when he seems so far away from you. It's hard to trust God when it seems like he has forgotten you. And I've had many moments with God where I'm saying to him, God, why do you keep allowing this? God, why are you hurting me? God, why are you doing this to me? Why are you allowing this to happen to my family? There's so many whys, right? And one of the things that I'm learning with God is that everything that happens prior to a life-changing event, he prepares us for. There are little things that he lines up. He moves and positions things. And we may not always be sensitive to the Spirit to know exactly what he's doing, but he always aligns us and he always prepares us ahead of time for what is going to come. It's no different than when we are preparing, for parenthood. I remember when, my children started walking, I had to prepare the house. I had to get those little locks so that they couldn't open up things that they weren't supposed to. I had to get the gates so that I could protect where they went, right? So even though I had my gates set up and I had those special locks and I had the dangerous things put up, someplace high that they couldn't get to, it did not protect them from all danger. It protected them from major danger. So even though, yes, they can't get out of the house or they can't fall down the steps or they can't swallow something, if they're walking and they're learning how to walk, their legs are, still wobbly, guess what? They could still fall down and potentially hurt themselves, even though I had all of these other things to protect them. But again, as a parent, you're focused on the big picture. You know that you can help your child with those little falls that take place. You know that you can help your child when those little dips and those little things, but the big picture is keeping them out of the danger that's going to harm them permanently. And so we have to understand that, yes, we're going to take a couple of hits here, there, and everywhere. But it doesn't mean that God is not protecting us. It doesn't mean that he has left us exposed. It's just that he's taking, the big things out of the way. He's protecting us for those things that we don't even realize that we're in danger. The little kids don't realize, like, you could really hurt yourself if you tumble down those steps. They don't know that. Right? But we do. And so we protect them. God is always protecting us. But guess what? Some hits are necessary. How is a child's legs going to get strong if they don't practice walking? And part of practicing walking is falling and knowing how to get back up. That's a part of the process. There is no way to skip that process. There's no way to learn how to walk without falling every once in a while. And so many of us are in that space with God that we want to grow in him and we want to go to the next level with him, but we can't because we haven't mastered the season that we're in today. We haven't taken, our legs are still wobbly walking through the season that we're in right now. And we're frustrated with God because we want to get to the next level. We want the growth. We want the new thing, and that's natural. That's who we are as people, right? We always want what's new, right? This is the time of the year where that is heavy, right? It's holiday season, y'all. The PS5 just came out. Now, listen, I am not a gamer. That is not my lane. I never was one to play video games. I have no issue with them. I think that they are cool, but that just wasn't my thing. But it's amazing. People have all these gaming systems and then a new one comes out that really doesn't do much different than the other ones, but you want it, right? You want it. You gotta have it. That new pair of Jordans that came out 10 years ago as well, like they're the same Jordans, but you want them. It's your thing, right? It's the thing that makes you happy. It's in us to always want more or to want new. It's exciting, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. It's nothing spiritual about it. It's exciting, that new thing. I look at cars and it's like, oh, I like the new version of this car. No, it's the same car, right? There may be a few features that are different, but we like new. We like that in our lives as well. We want that new thing. We love when we are at church or whatever. And God, the pastor's like, God is going to do a new thing in your life. We want that new thing. We want that new ministry. We want that new relationship. We want that new job. We want that new house, that new car, that new whatever. And so we get frustrated with God sometimes because it seems like we're stagnant. And it seems like, well, God, I don't have anything new right now. God, I haven't reached that. I want to go to the next level. How many times have we said, like, God, I want to go to the next level? Well, here's the thing. You can't go to the next level until you have mastered the level that you're in. And so many of us are at a standstill with God because we think we should be over here. Right? We think we should have, I'm an author. So I think I should be a best-selling author today. I want to be on that New York bestseller list. I want to be doing book talks all around this world. I want to write multiple books. I want to do a TED talk. That's one of my dreams, do a TED talk. All these things, right? And so I'm like, God, well, my book has been published now for 3 years. Shouldn't it be time for me to write another book? Right? Because I got to keep going. I got to go to the next level. I got to move to the next thing. And God's like, but you haven't mastered this level yet. I haven't completed the work in this season yet. You haven't learned all the lessons in this season yet. So no, it's not time for you to write your next book. Even though on your timeline, you may think, oh, I need to do this at this time and I got to have these things. No, actually, I need you to go with me. I need you to follow me. And I need you to understand that every season serves a purpose. And the purpose is not just to give you something. We are always about what we can get from God and not what we can give to God or do for God. It's always about what we can get. Okay, God, well, I want my next book. Or God, I want a promotion at my job. You haven't even mastered the position you're in now. You haven't even fulfilled the assignment that God has given you now, but we want what's next. God, I want that next relationship, but we haven't healed from the relationship that we just had. God, I want to have, I want increase, but we're not managing the things that God has given us right now. So how can we handle more if we can't handle what we have right now? How are we going to run a business if we can't even run our homes? We can't even manage our minds. And so we get into that place where we are frustrated with God. We're angry with God. Well, God, I'm just sitting still. God, this person over here has that. And they've already, this person published a book the same time I did, and they've already written 3 other books. That's their journey. But have you gotten all that you were supposed to get from where you are right now? So I'm learning, instead of wanting what's next, because there are some people, they will take on and start so many new things. Really what it is that they're seeking that fulfillment. They're trying to fill that void. Maybe there's a void in their heart that says that they're inadequate. So they feel like if they keep doing new things, and they keep, oh, I'm doing this now and I'm doing that now, it'll fill that void. But what ends up happening is that the void can only be filled by God. So then they'll do something new out of season and it won't work. And then they'll move on to something else. And then they'll keep moving. And it's like, I've done all these things, but I've accomplished nothing. I'm still in the same place. I still feel the same way. And God, I did all these things. I got all these things going on, but none of them are bringing me fulfillment because I forgot that my fulfillment comes from you and I've got to move at your pace. And it's not that I'm stagnant. It's that I am in position in the season that I'm in, getting all that I need for this season so that when you move me to the next season, I will be prepared. You don't want to go to your next season and not be prepared. That's like packing for a trip and not packing any clothes. You packed all these other things that don't matter. You got all these cameras and all these other things, but you don't have the right clothes to wear. You don't have your essentials. You got all the extra, but you don't have your essentials. So in this season, you got to get your essentials because that's what you're going to need for the next season. I get it. We all want that promotion. We all want our money to be tight. We want the nice looking house. We want the nice looking spouse. We want, the perfect backyard. We want that title. We want that position, right? Whatever our thing is, we want that. We want to be, no one says, I want to be a mediocre person. Everybody wants to be the best version of themselves, but you don't get there until you master the season you're in. And so many of us it's like we're like those gerbils, in that cage. We are just spinning ourselves out of control. We're driving and it's like, God, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm doing all these things and I'm not getting anywhere. It's because you're not in position. Who are we to tell God when he is going to do something in our lives? Who are we to tell God, this is my season right now? I need it right now. Who are we to tell God the flow of our lives if we've given our lives to him? So that goes back to the question, did you really say yes? And this is what God was saying to me this week. You're telling me your timeline of how you think things should work in your life. You're telling me, oh, well, it should look like this. So I prayed and I asked for your will in this area, God. But what I was picturing is it was going to look like this. And this, what you have given me, doesn't look like the vision that I had. So I'm rejecting it because it doesn't seem like it fits. And yet I need to trust your plan, your process, your selection, your timing, your details. But I'm all over the place because I really didn't want your will. I wanted you to bless what I wanted. So I really didn't ask your will, Lord, about, should I leave this job and go to another job? I want to leave this job. I wanted you to bless me with a better job. I didn't really seek your will in that area, though. I didn't seek your will and say, here's what, God, I really want to be in this situation. Lord, what do you say about this? What do you say? Am I supposed to start that business? Am I supposed to do this thing over here? I didn't really want your will. I wanted you to co-sign what I wanted. So we got to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be honest with God with where we are. And a lot of us are frustrated because we are outside of the will of God. And it may not be always intentional. It could be that we are fighting for something because we are battling that hurt on the inside. We're battling that voice that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not successful enough. Or this person does it better, than you do. Because we're battling those things, we're trying to get other things to fill that void or to cancel the noise of that voice. But the only thing that will do that is God. So many of us will look up and we're in things that we're not supposed to be in. We're at places we're not supposed to be in. We're around people that we weren't supposed to be in we were supposed to be around because we're trying to fill the void. And that's why you're working so hard. Let me tell you, I'm not going to say that what's in God's will is easy because there's nothing easy, but there is a peace and a flow to the things that are in the will of God. If you are constantly fighting, if you are constantly in confusion, if you feel like it takes every ounce of your effort to make something work, you need to step back and ask God, is this the thing that you have for me? Because there is a peace of mind that comes with what's in the will of God. And there is a flow. It doesn't mean that it's without trial, but there is a flow that takes place. When it was I knew God gave me the vision to write a book. And I tried for years to make it work. And it wasn't working. The words weren't there. The vision wasn't there. But when it was the season to write, there was a peace that came about and there was a flow. It didn't mean that I didn't have moments where I, had writer's block. It didn't mean that there weren't trials and things that tried to take me away from this assignment, but there was a flow. We always moved right back around. It always came back around to me getting back in the flow of the assignment. So you have to, if you're constantly in battle and there's no peace and it feels like the harder you try, the harder it gets, you got to stop and you got to ask God, is this your will? Am I in a season of stretching that I just got to go through because this is what you're strengthening me and you're revealing things to me? Am I out of order in some way? Have I deviated from your plan in some way? Or God, am I completely out of order and this is not your will? It's a hard prayer to pray. But only what you do for God and that is in the things that are in accordance with the will of God is what will last. So you can try your best to make that job work. But if God said, this is not your season for a job, I told you to start that business, you can try to make that job work all you want. It will not work. You can try to make that friendship or that relationship or that business partnership work as much as you can. But if God is saying this is a person that you need to disconnect from, this is a situation that you need to disconnect from, it doesn't matter how hard you try, it will not work. You have to be willing to be in alignment with the will of God at all costs. My prayer is, Lord, even if your answer to what I want is no, I trust you. Even if it's not right now, even if it's not in this season, even if it's not this way or not in this place, Whatever it is, God, I want your will at all costs. Even if it means I have to be uncomfortable for a little while, even if it means that it feels a little stressful, even if it means that things are a little difficult, if I have to endure something a little bit longer, I want your will at all costs. Even if your will goes against what I want, God, align my desires to your will. Help me to not even want the things that are not of you. Give me a distaste in my mouth of the things that I'm partaking in that are not your will. Change me, God. That is the position that we have to be in. That's how we get out of feeling stuck and stagnant. It is simply by saying, God, help me to get back in alignment to your will. Redirect me back to your will. Some things, and sometimes we don't even know that we're out of alignment. There are things that can look like God. They can smell like God. They can sound like God. They can even, to a degree, feel like God and not be him. And that's why we have to continuously seek him. Here's the thing. Is this thing bringing me closer to God or further away? Is this thing taking me closer to my assignment, or is it distracting me from my assignment? Is this thing making me better, or is it making me worse? You got to ask some tough questions. And this is a very sensitive season because so much has happened. Many people are at their end. I know for me, this week, like I said, I've been dealing with some health stuff. I mean, when I say my energy has been depleted, my energy has been completely depleted. And so can't get out the bed. I mean, up for hours, but can't get out the bed. No energy to do the things that I love to do. Falling asleep. I mean, just body shutting down, literally shutting down. And I'm like, God, how am I going to do this? God, how am I going to stay on assignment? How you've told me to do these things, but I have no energy. And he said to me, you got to trust me. There are some things that you're doing that I didn't tell you to do. You got to get realigned. And so as I sought him, and he has started to redirect me. He's starting to show me some things like, I didn't tell you to do that. Put that aside. This is your assignment. This is what you added to the assignment. This is what you took away. I need you just to follow the assignment. So I'm going to keep giving you the assignment until you follow it the way that I gave it to you. So we got to stay on assignment. We have to do what God says, even when it hurts. And listen, God is not to be played with. So we can think, he kind of goes, he gives us some space, he gives us some time to get it right. He gives us, some wiggle room to make mistakes, but you're going to do what God said. And eventually, if we continue to operate in disobedience, he will disrupt the thing that has our attention. So if God is telling you to do something, or maybe he's not telling you to do something, maybe God is telling you don't do anything. Because some of us, this is the lane that I fall in. We don't have the issue of starting something and moving. We sometimes are doing too many things. And we're out of order because we're doing things that God did not say do. Just because he gave the vision today doesn't mean you're supposed to run the plan today, right? Football players practice all week for a game on Sunday, right? So they're getting prepared, but they don't go right on the field on Sunday learning the play for the first time. Because guess what? It's not going to work. They have to prepare ahead of time. And so sometimes we are running these plays and God's like, I didn't tell you to do any of that. You done jumped out here and made your own plan. And now you're looking at me to pick up the pieces because guess what? You didn't operate in my vision because I can see the things that you can't see. And so you done hopped out here and then jumped into something. And now you're finding all these loose ends that you're like, man, I didn't think about that. Man, I didn't know that was over there. Well, that's because you were out of alignment because you're trying to do you in my name. And that doesn't work. The only thing you can do in my name is my will. So you have to get to that place where you allow God to redirect you, to reposition you. God, and sometimes we have the best of intentions. It's not a thing that we need to feel guilty about. This is not a thing to condemn yourself or to be shameful about. The word of God says there is no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. This is a time to just ask God to show you where you are. God, show me where I am right now, God. Show me what I'm doing that you need me to do differently. Give me your perspective. Give me your vision. Give me your thoughts. Give me your words. Give me your direction and help me to be obedient. How many times are we running a plan that's not God's in the first place, but we're asking him to co-sign it? I do it all the time. I'm always working a plan. And God's like, my plan for you right now is to sit and to trust me. The reason why you are running all over the place and you have no energy is because you are doing things I didn't tell you to do. Sit down somewhere and wait. Wait, expecting me to move on your behalf. Wait, expecting me to do what I said I was going to do. Wait, understanding that God knows what's best, better than you do, better than I do. Sometimes we are running and jumping. Oh, I'm going to do this. And oh, I'm going to do that. And God is like, sit down. You were so busy trying to open your own door. You didn't see that I created a building for you. You were so busy trying to create the life that you want, create the job that you want when I had a career for you. You were so busy trying to make that particular relationship work or trying to force something to work, and you didn't see that I had a miracle over here for you. Because you are trying to do your thing with your limited resources. Family, we are driving ourselves crazy. We are running ourselves ragged because we are trusting ourselves and what we can get instead of trusting God and what he can do. Trusting God comes with a risk. He may not do it the way you want him to do it. It may not work out the way that you envision, but the word of God says that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So even though it may not work out the way you want it, it will in fact work out if you submit to his will. Do you have a position that says, God, I want your will? Period. Thy will be done. Not my will, but thy will be done. Do you have that position? Do you have that position that says, God, I know that I'm feeling that urge to do something new. I want to rush to the next thing. I want to get past the season I'm in. Maybe this season is tough. Maybe it's some pain and what. God, I just want to get through this. How many of us do that? Oh, I just can't wait till next year. I want a brand new year. Guess what? Nothing different is going to happen next year if you don't do what you're supposed to do this year. We got to learn to be in the season that we're in. You can have your eyes on the future, of course, but you can't jump there. You've got to move as God said. So many of us are running ourselves in the ground because we are not doing what God said. And then you start to feel, well, God, something's always happening to me. God, why you always letting this happen to me? I've done this so many times in my life. And God's like, I didn't let that happen to you. You opened that door when you stepped outside my will. I didn't tell you to go into business with that person. I did not tell you to do this over here. I didn't tell you to leave that job or to go to this job. I didn't tell you to connect, disconnect, or reconnect with those people. You did those things and you have essentially broken your own heart because you've pivoted from my will. Come back to me. Seek me in all things. That's what he is saying to us in this season. I just want you to come. I don't care how far you strayed. I don't care, how guilty you feel. Just come because everything that you need is with me. So if you get nothing else, come to God. If you've never come to him before, this is a perfect time. He's waiting for you. He's so excited. Just say, God, I need you. I'm inviting you in. If you've strayed in some way, if you're confused, you don't even know what's going on. If you're like me and you just need direction, you just need to hear from him. Ask him. Invite him in. But don't just say, God, what is your will? Say, God, prepare my heart and my mind for your will. Give me clarity. Remove every distraction or everything that keeps me from seeing and hearing your will. Give me a spirit of obedience that I follow your will at all costs. You got to pray the entire prayer, but I'm telling you, God is here and he is with you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. I promise. If you do the work and you trust God, you will see the victory. I pray that was inspiration for you. That was what God gave me this week. It has been keeping me lifted because I'm being super transparent. I've been feeling a little low this week. It's been a little difficult. We have an amazing guest that is coming on. I just want to share a little bit about them before they join us momentarily. They are an amazing couple, an amazing man and woman of God, Barbara and Earl and Barbara King. Sorry. They are authors. They've written an incredible book called Romance Days. Now, listen, I know what you're saying. You're thinking this only applies if you're married or dating or in a serious relationship. But let me just say this to you. God has revelation in everything. So don't cancel something out, even if you can't see it from your exact perspective or if you're not in that exact situation just yet. Know that God can use and will use everything. All you need to do is trust him. All you need to do is give your life to him and be willing to hear his word. So even if it doesn't apply to you right now, it could be that God is storing something up for later. So I want to welcome to the She Heals Radio Show this amazing couple. They are popping in right now. They should be joining in super soon. I'm looking here. Hello. How are you guys?
Hi, we're doing fine.
Awesome. So welcome to the She Heals Radio Show authors, Earl and Barbara King. It is a pleasure to see you guys. How are you tonight?
We're doing well.
Awesome. So I've had the pleasure to know you guys for a little bit of time. Yeah, scoot on over. First of all, I love that y'all are matching. I can't take it. I love it. I love it. I had the honor to work with you guys through the publishing of your book, and your book has blessed me. You guys have blessed me. So it is an honor to have you here on the show. I'd first like you guys to introduce yourselves, and then let's hop into all things Romance Days.
Okay, I'm Barbara King.
And I'm Earl King, Senior.
Awesome. Earl and Miss Barbara. I just love you guys. You know that. So you guys wrote this book, and the book is called Romance Days. Can you talk to me a little bit about how this book came about?
Well, I am an author. I'm a published author. I've written 3 Christian books, and so Earl and I have been together for like 9 years, and we've been just very, very happy. We are very, very compatible, and we talk a lot about our relationship and how it got started and everything. And so we started writing on notepads about instances that we had, places we've been, things that we've done. And I wrote them on little notepads and all. And then one day, I guess it was the Holy Spirit said, why don't you write a book, put it together and write a book. And that's what I did. So we would talk, and then I would write it up, because it was collaborative. And I would write it up, and then I would go to the computer and put it on the computer and run it off, and then come back and read it to him. And that's the way the book came to be. And then one day, the Holy Spirit said to me, why don't you include some of your friends that are, couples and at different stages of their relationship? And that's what we did. We have several couples from our church, which is First Baptist Church of Pimlico, and another couple from Ecclesia Church, and also our daughter, one of our daughters who got married on the same day that we did. And she's a newlywed. There is a section for newlyweds. We had 3 groups of newlyweds who talked about their courtship. And, the subtitle of the book is Marriage, Lifelong Courtship. So they told about their courtship. And then we have another couple that has been married for 48 years.
Amazing. I think it's so important. And I love the fact that you have perspectives from different people in different walks of their marriages, so it's not just your perspective, but there are other people as well. This question is for Earl. So how was it for you kind of writing out your tips and the things that have worked well in your relationship. How was that process for you?
Well, I've never had a problem in expressing my feeling how I feel. So I would express my feeling to my wife, and she would write it down for me.
I
And
love
that's
it.
how things came about. We work as a team.
I love that. I absolutely love it. And so let's talk a little bit about what's in the book. Now, of course, we're not giving the whole book away because y'all got to go buy it. Okay. And we will drop the link to it in the comment section at the conclusion of the show. So just know Romance Days, Marriage, a Lifelong Courtship. You got to go get it. But let's drop a little, a few, teasers for the listeners. Right now, I think it's an interesting season that, we've all been in. This whole year has had its different share of challenges. And I feel like because we're at home, there are things that, can come about that we didn't realize were there, right? So how do you guys, even in the midst of a pandemic, keep the romance there?
You want to take that? well, for the past 5 years, we've had 2 romance days a week. And we did this because, well, I'm 71 now. When we met, we were 62. And you know how newlyweds are. And I just can't always be ready to be romantic unless it's kind of planned. So, I came up with the plan of 2 days a week because I knew I could handle that. And he really responded to that, and he likes that, and that is what has worked for us. But we have one of our daughters says that every day is a romance day for us because my husband is a very romantic guy. But on those days, Tuesdays and Saturdays, is just very, very special, as you'll find in the book.
Awesome. And what are some things, like what does a romance day look like? Let's give us an example.
Okay. Well, we have a section in the book called Tools of the Trade. Mm-hmm. And those tools are music, dancing, candlelight, and flowers. Now, the flowers, I get flowers every week. And I love that. I love flowers. Yeah, I love flowers, and I get them every week. And like I said, we dance. We just enjoy being with each other. And those days are just really special. But every day is special with Earl because he's a very romantic guy. And like I said, every day is special. Those days, though, are very special.
That is amazing. And so, Earl, I have a question for you. So from the male perspective, because I know for us, women, a lot of us women like the flowers and different things. What are some things that you enjoy about Romance Day?
Well, for me, I have a routine that I do on Romance Day because one thing by me, being an early riser and my wife sleep late, by the time that she get up, I've already gotten up and vacuumed and cooking and got clothes washing, and I'm just preparing myself as the day roll on that I anticipate on my wife becoming my girlfriend. So I'm excited about that. So I have my thing that I do on a regular basis because I try to be consistent in what I do and what I say.
Consistency is important for everything, right? Yeah. Anything that we want to do well, we have to be consistent. And so how have you guys gotten creative during this pandemic where maybe you can't do some of the things that you normally do? How have you guys adjusted your romance days to meet the times?
Well, as I said to some people that I was talking to, Earl and I spend 90% of our time in the same room, doing the same thing every day. We just really enjoy each other's company. So the pandemic hasn't really stopped us from doing anything that we normally do, because we just don't go out as much, but we, still enjoy being in and enjoy. We don't get on each other's nerves. I mean, every once in a while, but we just really enjoy being together.
That is absolutely beautiful. So I want to ask you guys to each share some tips of how to keep the romance alive. I know, for me, we've had many chats throughout the process of your book coming up. Of course, when I think of love, I think of all the things you just talked about. I think of these awesome dates and this beautiful quality time and the flowers and the, sweet nothings and the music and all of that. But sometimes that can get lost in the day-to-day if we're not careful. So what are some tips that you guys have for keeping the love alive, whether it's a romance day or not?
Well, one of the things that I realized that we have to, first of all, recognize that God give us a lot of good things that we don't always take the time to be thankful and grateful for what he does for us. And by me being an old country boy, I've learned one thing, that in my lifetime, that depending on how much you want and how bad, it definitely can be had. And also that you only get out the pot what you put in. So when it comes to your marriage, you have to really take time to really get into your mate and find the good qualities about her and express that to her with word and deed. You just can't talk the talk. You got to walk the walk.
Yes.
I agree with that too. And I enjoy doing the things that he wants me to do. And so I try to be his fantasy.
I love that.
Yeah, his wife becomes his girlfriend. I literally become his girlfriend on Tuesdays and Saturdays. I try to just create a image of something that I know that he likes. And we talked about that in the book. In the beginning, when you first get into a relationship, you do everything you can in your power to please that other person. And then once you get married and, things start happening, because, things are going to happen. You're going to have disagreements and things are just not going to always go smoothly. But you remember what he liked for you to do in the beginning. And has he changed so he doesn't like those things anymore? Or did you just stop doing them? And I think you have to put the other person first, and the other person's happiness has to be more important than yours. And I have found, like he said, you only get out the pot what you put in. We're always trying to outdo each other. And there's a section in the book called competition. We play a lot of backgammon. And so we know each other pretty well on the backgammon board. And backgammon is that kind of game that is just very highly competitive. And so we're always trying to outdo each other, how good we can be to each other.
That is awesome. And so I think one of the things that in order for that to take place, the communication has to be strong. There has to be strong communication. So can we talk a little bit? Can you share some tips or suggestions or thoughts on how to keep the communication strong so that we can have those romance days? Because if I'm feeling depleted throughout the week, right, because other things are not taking place, if I'm not communicating my thoughts and my needs, it makes romance day get kind of hard, right? So talk to me about keeping the communication strong. How can we both keep the communication strong in a relationship or marriage?
Well, I think you have to have a great deal of honesty. That was one of the things that I noticed about Earl. We didn't go out on a date until we had talked on the phone for 2 hours. And in the very beginning, he told me about his bout with drug addiction and homelessness. And I was like really taken aback. I remember telling my daughter, well, I think we can be friends, but I don't think it can be any more than that. But earlier you were talking about how God prepares us for things. My first husband was an addict. And so, I was really, I didn't realize, but I was prepared for that, to deal with, the things. But his honesty just overwhelmed me. The fact that he wanted me to know who he really was.
Mm.
He was talking about this lady that he used to date, and she didn't realize what, he was bringing to the table. And I'm trying to figure out what he was bringing to the table, because he didn't have no money. And so, then just listening to him, and he was a good listener too. We listened to each other, and that's the way we really got to know each other and to appreciate each other. And I think that, throughout your marriage, you have to be honest and open with each other if you really want things to flow well. You can't be secretive or holding back, because that's not going to work out. But I remember telling God, I write a journal, and I remember telling God that this man from my church was interested in me. But if that wasn't what God wanted for me, I said, if that's not what you want for me, I don't want no parts of it.
Amen.
And from that point on, things just went smoothly. We were married in 9 months.
That's amazing.
I grew up.
I love it. But what I love, though, what I appreciate just from what you got, and thank you for sharing that, is the honesty. And I think, everything, I think sometimes people think once we get married, we can do all of these things and have all these things. But the truth is, if you set the foundation while you are courting and dating, those things will lay the groundwork for your marriage. And a huge part of that is being honest and communicating beyond what you may be comfortable, with. And so I just applaud you guys for being willing to share that, because I think so many of us, we feel like, oh, there are certain parts of us that if we share that, no one, that person is not going to want to be with me, or that person is not going to, want to continue, when really, if that person is who God has for you, he's already prepared that person ahead of time. So you just have to do your part. So I really appreciate that. So how do you continue with your romance days when you are having that rare occasion that you're getting on each other's nerves? How do you work through that?
Well, one thing, you got to communicate. If something isn't right, you got to take time to sit back. Like I tell my wife, I try to be a thinker, not a stinker, because anybody can be a stinker. But if you take the time to think things over, then you can be calm and reach a solution to whatever going on. But through prayer and supplication, you got to make your request known. And I make my request known to her. And also getting back to some of the basics. In any relationship, a man have to go back to being a gentleman again. I see so many instances wherein that people have been married for lots of years, and the man don't even open the car door for his wife no more. I'm like, what's up with that? Or they don't even sit together in church. The unity is gone. You got to have some kind of unity in a relationship. And if you can't talk things out, you ain't gonna be able to work things out. You got to have open communication. That's very important.
And the Bible says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. So even if, something has happened during the day, then, I make sure that, we kiss each other, before we go to bed, even if I'm mad and it's just a little peck, and that helps. Most of the time, I'll be very honest with you. Most of the time, if Earl has done something that I don't like or gotten on my nerves or whatever, I can't even remember it the next day. I can't remember what it was that he did, because he's just so easy to live with. And I told him the other day, and affirmations is dealt with in the book, but I told him the other day, I said, you are the most beautiful person that I have ever met in my lifetime. And I know some really beautiful people, Whitney. And so that is the biggest compliment that I could give my husband, because I have known some beautiful people. I have some wonderful friends, lifelong friends, and they are great and they are beautiful. But he just he just I don't know how to describe the relationship that the Lord has allowed us to have these 9 years. It has been the bomb.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love that you guys are, in everything that you do, you keep God first and you seek him in all things. And I think that's the foundation for any good thing, right? For every good thing is to have him at the head. I want you to just think about, there could be people that are listening that maybe what you're describing is what they desire. So maybe they're single and they're still believing God for that person. Maybe they're in a new relationship and they're desiring what you're describing. They're desiring marriage and those romance days. Or maybe they're married and their relationship, their marriage has kind of hit a rough patch. I just want you to give a word of encouragement to those people that maybe they're trying to get to romance days.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think that you need to start somewhere. If you haven't been having any time set aside just for the two of you, you need to set aside some time. It doesn't have to be twice a week. We retired, and so we can do that. But, maybe you can just start off with a date night, or maybe if you're busy and you're both working, maybe just a couple of hours, you get rid of the children and the grandchildren out the house and just set aside some time just for the two of you to just get reacquainted and then to take it from there. And if you just take one tip, one thing that you can do, for instance, if you never say anything nice to each other and then all of a sudden, a husband might compliment his wife and says, "Oh, gee, I see you got your nails done," or, "your hair looks nice today." And he hasn't been doing that, then that's going to set her antenna up. And she's going to want to know why he's doing that. If you just take one thing out of, one tip and work that and see, how that works for you, because most people, if somebody does something nice for them, they want to do something nice for the other person, and they might be waiting for some, one person to make the first move, but be the one to make the first move.
And one of the things I want to say is that if you have somebody to love and you love them, then let them know it, but also let them know why you love them. Give them some example of things that they say or do that makes you feel the way you feel about them, and let it be known.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah,
pray. Our theme for our wedding was a threefold cord is not easily broken. And if it was not for the Lord, we wouldn't have made it either, but he has been hanging in there with us because we want to honor him, and we dedicated our book to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Amen.
We had the threefold cord with.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. I think that is amazing advice. And to our singles, this is the perfect time to prepare, right? So some of us, we want that so bad, but there are some things that God may need to heal us, there may be some areas that we need to work on. We need to get excited. Maybe it's just that we need to be in expectation. Do we expect God to answer that prayer? Sometimes if people have been single for a long time or, have maybe single again for one reason or another, it's hard to even expect God to move. But when you operate in expectation and you're believing God for it, expectancy, you know what? God shows up.
Yes, he does. We prayed. I wanted to fall in love just one more time.
Mhm.
That was my prayer. His prayer was,
I wanted a spiritual woman.
and we both got our wish.
And I'm
Amen.
still on my honeymoon.
I love it. Every time we talk, you tell me that. It just makes my heart smile.
Yeah, it's true. You know, see, one of the things that people are lacking nowadays is really finding out things about each other. You got to be honest with each other. You got to find out things that you have in common, things that you like, that the two of y'all can do. And you find all these things that you have in common, then you got something to work with. You got to have something to work with. And if you ain't got nothing to work with, then you in trouble.
Right. You have to, and you got to trust God through the process, right?
Yes,
you got to trust
most
God
definitely.
through the process, who He chooses, and the way that He brings you together. It's up to Him, right? So,
Yeah.
the time is moving really, really quickly. Before we close out for the night, I do want to make sure that we have where people can get your book. So, tell us where they can find the book. We will drop the link to the book in the chat, the comment section. And also, if people want to reach out locally for the book, let them know how they can do that.
Well, we ordered 150 books and they went very fast. So we really need you to go to Amazon.com and order the book. Yeah, because unless we get a large order, from somebody, then we can order it. We don't mind, just let us know, contact us and let us know. And if we get, a large order, then we'll go ahead and make the order and they can just pick it up at our house. But if you want to get it pretty quickly, Amazon, you don't even have to pay the shipping and handling if you have Amazon Prime. And I know a lot of people have that. Yeah. So the book will cost $12 if you get it on Amazon.
Awesome. And you can get it, again, don't just buy it on Amazon, buy it for somebody else as well. Leave a review after you've read it and God has blessed you through this book. Go on Amazon, leave a review. And my prayer for you guys is that as you pour it out in this book, because it takes a lot to share your own story. That's not something that everyone can do or that everyone is willing to do. My prayer is that as you pour it out in this book, that God will pour into you and that your romance days will be forever. I just know for me personally, just meeting you guys, it has been an honor and a pleasure to know you. You guys have inspired me. You guys have encouraged me. Even when you didn't know that you were doing that, you were doing that. So,
and before we go, I would just like to say that for anybody that have read this book and gotten anything out of it, any kind of pleasure, don't be afraid to let us know what you think about it, because it helps us to it just helps us in so many ways of making things better for us and for them.
Absolutely. Feedback is always good. Sometimes the enemy will have you to think that when you fulfill an assignment that God gave you, he'll start to try to pick it apart. He'll try to tell you, oh, you could have done this better. Oh, this person is better. So listen, if this book has blessed you, please send them that encouragement, because you never know when somebody needs it. So we are wrapping up the show. I just want to thank you so, so much, Mr. Earl and Miss Barbara King, for coming on. I just, I love you guys.
And I meant that about adopting you.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to know you guys.
You did a wonderful job publishing our book, and we are just so proud of you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. To God be the glory. It is awesome.
Yes.
It is all him. I'm so thankful, though. If you've tuned in, I pray that you were blessed by the show today. Again, the name of the book, Romance Days, Marriage, a Lifelong Courtship. It is available on Amazon.com. I will drop the link into every one of the comment sections. I just want to say thank you to Earl and Barbara King for joining us on the She Heals Radio Show. I want to say thank you to my super producer, Quincy, who's always taking care of the show. I love you. To my Awesome God Radio family, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for lifting me up when I couldn't lift myself up. To everybody, have a beautiful Thanksgiving. I know it's going to be different, y'all. I'm cooking by this is going to be my home, the people in my home that's going to be eating with us this year. And it's really different. But you know what? We have something to be thankful for. If we're alive and we're in the land of living and we have family and food, we have more than enough to be thankful for. So enjoy your holiday and just trust God with everything. In closing, she thinks, she feels, she prays, she cries. She strengthens, she becomes thankful, and ultimately she heals. This is the She Heals Radio Show with your host, Whitney J. Have an amazing weekend. We will see you back here Fridays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care and God bless.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.